Welcome to LMX, where we break down the big questions in politics and governance. Today we're examining a hotly debated topic. Has the ANC's internal democracy made national democracy in South Africa stable? And is the ANC the only party in Africa with robust internal democratic processes? We'll also explore how these very internal processes can sometimes backfire, hindering effective succession planning and opening the door for self-serving leaders. Let's start with the basics. Since the end of apartheid, the African National Congress, or ANC, has championed internal democracy as a way to renew its mandate. The party holds elective conferences every few years where thousands of delegates from local branches vote on leadership positions. This system, despite being riddled with factional battles, has long been seen as a mechanism to ensure accountability and member participation. While debates over democratic centralism continue, with decisions being binding even amid dissent, the ANC system has allowed for open internal debates, policy discussions, and even public contests for leadership. In theory, this encourages the party to be responsive to its members and by extension to the citizenry. Elective conferences and grassroots branches, open debates and policy discussions, democratic centralism in action. Now let's compare this with some of the ANC's sister parties in Africa, ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe and Frelimo in Mozambique. Both parties are frequently accused of rigging elections and maintaining tightly controlled internal structures. They operate under authoritarian frameworks where decision-making is highly centralized and dissent is often stifled. Unlike the ANC, these parties rarely allow their grassroots to have a voice in leadership contests. While ZANU-PF and Frelimo have managed to hold on to power by using these methods, their approach to internal democracy is seen by many as a key contributor to political instability and electoral fraud. In contrast, the ANC's internal processes, though not perfect, provide a platform for debate and accountability, which many argue has contributed to a relatively stable national democracy in South Africa. Internal democracy, as practiced by the ANC, has played an essential role in maintaining a stable national democracy in South Africa. By enabling open debate, the ANC has managed to evolve over time and remain responsive to social change. This inclusivity has helped prevent the kind of electoral malpractices seen in more authoritarian regimes. Critics argue that even though the ANC has faced factional infighting and leadership contests, these internal battles have forced the party to address policy challenges head-on. In turn, this has prevented a complete collapse of democratic norms, especially when compared to regions where internal dissent is not tolerated. In essence, the internal democratic processes of the ANC have contributed to a system where power is contested and accountability is, at least in theory, preserved. Open internal debate strengthens accountability. Evolution through competitive elections. Contrast with authoritarian internal practices. But it isn't all smooth sailing. One of the biggest criticisms of the ANC's internal democracy is that it sometimes leads to a lack of effective succession planning. With open contests and intense factionalism, the focus can shift from policy to personal power struggles. This environment can allow self-serving leaders to emerge, leaders who may prioritize their own interests over those of the people they serve. For example, the frequent leadership battles within the ANC have, at times, led to a vacuum in clear succession plans. Rather than grooming a strong next generation of leaders, the party can become mired in internal disputes. This not only exposes the ANC to vulnerabilities, but also creates an impression that the system, while democratic, is chaotic and prone to populism, intense factionalism versus clear succession, power struggles that may favor self-interest, impact on long-term leadership stability. Ultimately, while the ANC's internal democracy has provided a framework for contesting power, which contributes to a degree of accountability, it also comes with the challenge of ensuring continuity and preparing future leaders in a way that transcends factional interests. So, has the ANC's internal democracy made South African democracy stable? The answer is complex. On one hand, the open and competitive nature of its internal processes has helped to check authoritarian tendencies and allowed for gradual reform. On the other hand, the very openness that brings accountability also breeds factionalism, leaving the party sometimes vulnerable to self-serving leadership and poor succession planning. In our view, the ANC stands out in Africa for its commitment to internal democracy when compared to parties like ZANU-PF and Frelimo. However, this isn't a perfect system. To truly strengthen its future, and by extension, South Africa's democratic stability, the ANC must find ways to streamline succession planning and reduce the destructive effects of factional infighting. What do you think? Has the ANC's internal democracy been a stabilizing force for South Africa, or does its structure sow the seeds of future instability? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching LMX. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe for more in-depth political analysis, and share this video with anyone interested in the dynamics of African democracy. Until next time, stay informed and keep questioning.